Welcome to episode 462 of the AM/PM podcast. This week, I've got a pretty interesting guest. I think a lot of you are going to really enjoy. I've got Feng Xiaoxiao on from Shenzhen, China. She leads a group of like 4,000 students in China, and she's realized that, hey, the Chinese are at a disadvantage. They don't understand the West, and they don't understand marketing and branding. And they can do everything else, all the pricing, all the making products different, and all the gamemanship that comes with Amazon. But when it comes to branding and positioning and culture, they're having a hard time. So she's actually taken it upon herself to come to NYU. Now, this interview I did with her, she was back in China for the summer, but she's about to start her second year at NYU in a master's program for marketing. And she's trying to learn how to actually help bridge the gap between the West and the East when it comes to culture and marketing and branding. And she's going to talk about some of the pain points that they're having and some of the ways that they're actually solving these pain points. So enjoy this episode with Feng Xiaoxiao, or as they call her over there, Professor Xiaoxiao. So here we go. Enjoy it.
Welcome to the AM/PM podcast. Welcome to the AM/PM podcast, where we explore opportunities in e-commerce.
We dream big and we discover what's working right now.
Plus, this is the podcast where money never sleeps, working around the clock in the AM and the PM.
Are you ready for today's episode?
I said, are you ready? Let's do this. Here's your host, Kevin King. Kevin King.
I've got an awesome guest on the podcast today, Feng Xiaoxiao. How are you? How are you doing? Good to see you.
Hi, Kevin. Good to see you. I'm so glad to be here today to be a guest speaker. And last time we met in Vegas, and today we meet in your podcast. Let's talk about anything about Amazon sellers.
Yeah, well, we're going to do that. So we met at the Prosper show, and I was told that, hey, you got to meet this girl. She's like very famous in China, and everybody knows her and follows her. I was like, oh, cool. I'd love to have you on the podcast. And so now we may have. I'm in Austin. You're in Shenzhen, right now. And through the beauty of technology, look what we can do.
Yeah, sure. Actually, for the past 10 years, I'm an Amazon seller, and also I'm a coach in Shenzhen. But very funny story for me is I went to New York last year in 2024. So I'm currently studying in New York University in integrated marketing.
At NYU?
Yeah, NYU.
It's a big shift for your whole life?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because, I'm an Amazon seller and manage my company. I have 50 plus staff, and we selling Amazon. We handle all the things with, Amazon performance team, and we selling products. We put advertisements. We do everything, and I do feel that the price competition is so fierce, and I'm gonna to find some new breakthrough for my selling business. And at the same time, I find out that for all my students, because I'm also teaching in business school in Shenzhen, and I have so many students, like I have 4,000 students. So the reason why I really changed my whole life, I let my managers to manage my company, and I really immersively study in New York is because I do feel that if we cannot understand American people and American culture, we really cannot sell so well. And I really want to do branding. That's the reason. And because I have like 4,000 plus Amazon seller students in Shenzhen, I do feel that they need some people to bring, to lead them to do the real branding. So yeah, I'm in Manhattan right now, and I do have some, the learning experience also give me some inspirations, and I do understand why the exact picture in our listing doesn't have a good conversion.
So you're studying. So if I understand, you came to NYU in Manhattan to study marketing, and so that you can help your business that has like 50 employees plus all your 4,000 students actually learn how to better market to the Western American audience. Correct?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, so I prepared a little bit, to elaborate more about my conclusions. So so we can imagine there is an iceberg. What we can see from the surface is only a small part, right? So the visible
Mm-hmm.
struggles of Chinese Amazon sellers are unaffordable ad costs and the shrinking profits and the fierce price competition. But under the surface lies the real root of the problem. It's actually the lack of cultural understanding. And we got no private user base. And because all the clients belongs to Amazon, we don't have our own private users. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
engage them and to communicate with our users and to really listen to their voice. And also, we are so lacking of offline retail channels. We are so rely on Amazon. So these hidden challenges are the true reason to hold our sellers back from building a long-lasting brand in the U.S. market. I do believe I saw a news report that the American sellers also suffered from Chinese sellers' low pricing strategy, right?
Yeah. So what you're saying is that the Chinese sellers are having difficulty because they don't understand the culture and how to properly market to the Americans, and then the Americans they say that the Chinese have an advantage because they speak the language, they can easily talk to the factories, they get better pricing, the people don't their workers don't cost as much. I'm not saying all this is true. I'm just saying this is and then they a lot of people in their mind, the Chinese sellers cheat,
Yes,
and I think some Chinese sellers definitely cheat, but a lot of Chinese sellers don't, and they play fair, but the bad ones give everybody a bad reputation, and so that's unfortunate. But in today's world, I agree with what you're saying, and that used to be all the Americans like, yeah, don't worry about the Chinese because they don't know how to market. And now, if you build a real brand, that's all about marketing. It's not so much about the price. It's not so much about some other things. You can beat them. And then AI came out, and now the I'm assuming that a lot of the Chinese are using AI, and that can help you write better listings, better copy. You can ask it questions about the type of customer, and so a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, now the Chinese they're equal to us." But what you're saying, and I've heard this from other people, is not so fast. It's still a problem. So that's true.
yes. Yeah, it's really to the points that the risk competition really have a devastating impact on the entire ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we have AI technology, right? But most of the Chinese sellers they are still using the low pricing strategy. That's true. And we for Chinese sellers, we do have some brands. We are like you just said, we are doing the fair competition. However, most of the sellers don't have that sense. But the result is the sellers compete by constantly lowering price. It becomes an inevitable result that the product quality suffers. Cutting corners happens, right? So they have no choice. They have to cut corners. They have to sacrifice to the quality of the products, right, to maintain the margin because nobody will do free things. So as a result, the whole quality of goods online declines. So in Manhattan, I really have the feeling that the people who have a good quality of life, they prefer to shop offline. They want to look for the products, feel the products offline in the store. And I really saw the price, a sofa in a offline shop store in Manhattan. It cost at least $500, 1,000. That's very normal. But in Amazon, take a look at the listing. $150 you can get a sofa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the result happens, right? I don't think it's good to Amazon, to the platform itself. I don't think it's a good thing. So all the,
Well, there's some people that don't care. There's some people, Americans, they just want the low price. They don't care how long it lasts. But a lot of people, they do want the quality. And you're right. That it's a trust thing because me as a shopper, if I go on Amazon and the brand name is a bunch of letters, because a lot of Chinese sellers they use some weird letters as their brand name. Immediately, I don't want to buy that product unless it's something very simple. If it's maybe a knife, for my kitchen, or it's something simple for the kitchen, a commodity item, then maybe I will buy that. But the nicer stuff, I don't trust it. And I know the Chinese people in China is the same when you're going on JD.com or 1688 or whatever. A lot of the Chinese are like, oh, this stuff is not very good. I'd rather go and buy it in the store, or I want to buy it off of WeChat, off of a live stream of somebody that I trust.
yeah,
So I know it's a problem.
yeah. So Kevin, you know so good of China. I feel that.
Well, I've been there, in China. Maybe you were there about 7 years ago. I was there with Brandon Young, and we spoke at an event, and it was very eye opening to me. Just like you coming to the U.S. is different, and this event was on a Sunday, and there was like 2,500 Chinese sellers there. Some of them were workers of the companies, some of them were the owners, and there's hardly any events in the U.S. that are that big, maybe one or two. But this was every single Sunday, and there were like 6 speakers, and the woman that was hosting was in a nice dress and looked very beautiful, and the stage was very nice. And I was like, holy cow, this is every single Sunday. And I remember I did a presentation on how to do postcards, how
Oh,
to reach your customers.
I was
You
there.
were talking about that. Yeah, on how to do postcards. And I remember David Wu told me like 2 or 3 years later, he said, Kevin, now every Chinese seller does postcards because you showed us how to do postcards. But what's interesting to me was the Chinese listened to me and they did it. And a lot of them had some good success. Some of them not so much, but a lot of them had some good success. But the Americans, when I told them, they're like, no, I'm going to do. They didn't pay so much attention. And so it's like the Chinese are hungry. The Chinese sellers are hungry. They're willing to work hard. They're willing to do a lot of things that the American sellers won't. But I think one of the biggest issues that the American sellers have with the Chinese factories is they don't respect the trademarks and the IP. And this is a big problem right now in America where a seller will make a new product and have a new idea and go and get the patent and the trademark and all the IP. And then 3 months later, either the factory or the guy down the street or there's always all of a sudden 100 other people, mostly Chinese sellers, selling the exact same thing into Amazon. And it's very frustrating.
Yeah,
But it's a culture. It's a cultural difference. I mean, the laws are different. And the Chinese don't see that they're doing anything wrong, versus the American sellers is like, what the heck? You're just stealing this from me. But the Chinese are like, no, we're just taking it, making it better, or changing it. So there's always these little things between American and Chinese sellers kind of butting their heads. But there's some very, very smart Chinese sellers that do some really amazing things. Very good businessmen, men and women.
yeah, I totally, yeah, that's true. I feel that Chinese sellers are really obsessed with all the skills, operation, like how to, like merge listing, how to handle all the reviews, and
Mm-hmm.
as you said, to choose products, to select products from what other sellers are selling, and do some minor changes and just launch it. But however, Chinese sellers have a stronger sense of IP infringements in the recent years. That's the lesson taught by Amazon, because Amazon has such a strict, policies on IP infringement. So after years of education, Chinese sellers start to be aware of that and to register patents, whatever, and to do something more innovative. Because at least some of my students, they are doing so. I advise them to have their own research and design departments, to build a team, to design their own products and to register patents, and to do a fair competition. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's gotten better, but it's still a big problem. It's such a big problem that we have companies now in the United States and lawyers. That's all they do. All they do is they fight. They help sellers, American sellers, and European sellers fight mostly Chinese sellers that are infringing on their rights. Sometimes somebody complains that, oh, I have a hijacker or a copy or a counterfeit on my listing, and it's really not. But they just think it is. But there's cases where I know people that have had their listings shut down in America because of these problems, and it's an issue that somehow I agree Amazon is trying to enforce it more, but because Amazon is so big, it's difficult. There's a lot of little holes and little places, and there's some people, like you just said, the Chinese sellers like to game the system. The American sellers, what really motivates them when it comes to Amazon is they love to know how to launch their product. That's like if I do a webinar or I do a training, how do you launch your product to the first page? They're like, everybody's there wanting to pay attention. If you show them how to do something with some AI to make their pictures or to do something to save some time and money, they all really, really love that. And the PPC, they anything around the PPC, they really, really love. But American sellers, believe it or not, a lot of them are not good at the marketing. They're not good at the branding. They're not good. Maybe they're better than the Chinese just because they live here and they grew up this way. And so they understand it a little bit more. But I see there's a massive opportunity on Amazon, even for Western U.S. sellers to actually make their branding better. And I think once the Chinese, like you said, figure out, maybe you're going to learn here at NYU University and some of the branding, and you're going to be exposed to it in the States, they're going to get better at it, and they're going to work harder at it, I think. And I think that's a big opportunity. Alibaba's trying to do some of this right now and help bridge this gap. Just like if I went to China, China, a lot of Americans have never been to China. Most Americans have never been to China. So they think of China as 25 years ago. In their head, they see the movies, they think of China as a bunch of people with plows in a field, and they have no idea that Shenzhen and Shanghai and Guangzhou and all these cities are more modern than New York. There's more technology, more modern, and because they're newer and it's the latest stuff, and they don't realize the strength of the Chinese. I think the American seller is very good at innovation. The American culture is very good. Come up with a new iPhone or come up with a new some sort of machine. And then I think the Chinese are very, very good at taking that and making it better. It's the second generation of innovation, like changing it a little bit, figuring out engineering, how can we make this a little bit cheaper if we change this or we do this or we make this machine. They're very good at that. And so I think that's a lot of people don't quite understand some of the fundamental differences, but it's interesting. So in your company with 50 employees, is this you selling millions of dollars worth of products, or is it a big company?
Yeah, because I have been selling for over 10 years. The time was 2013. I was back from Singapore. I lived in Singapore for 8 years. Because of Amazon, I went back to Shenzhen. Okay, so yeah, so let's follow from the point that compare the Chinese sellers and Amazon sellers. I do feel like
I would
that.
love your opinion. Yes, I would love.
Yeah, I do feel that two kinds of sellers really need to learn from each other. Like what you said, Shenzhen, Shanghai is totally different from what American people's mind, and we are so developed in terms of infrastructure, buildings, and the trains, everything, and also the manufacturing, the supply chain. So I think American sellers can come to China to take a look, to really talk to the manufacturing plants, and to get better products and better price, better supply chain. But for Chinese sellers, the important issue is that we have to really learn American culture to really do branding, do marketing well. So I think this is our topic. I mean, the main topics about today. So I'm going to dive deeper. So I'm going to
Okay.
how to break the price competition circle, and the sellers must shift from competing on price to competing on values through branding, through quality, through the user engagement. So so let's dive deeper. So my first point is
Sure.
that due to the lack of understanding of American culture, there is a significant gap in marketing tastes and the consumer expectations. So most of the time, our marketing approach, like the A plus pictures, the videos, and even the package box, doesn't resonate with consumers. There is a very interesting, very funny example. The day is my digital marketing class. My classmates, most of them are from US local, and I were reviewing some Amazon listings for the lighting products. Because the time we are doing the projects for MoMA design store, and MoMA selling lightings and lamps. So we just said that we just search some from the Amazon and to compare the price, the product. So we search that. We search lamp in Amazon. And my classmates, they can immediately tell me that which listing were from Chinese sellers. Why? Because the overall aesthetic, the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
they're so cluttered, and they are kind of overly dramatic, and they are lacking in visual appeal. They're totally different from local sellers. So what I was like, I asked my classmates, oh, what do you appreciate? What do you like? Oh, they told me that they like a more refined, minimalist style with the thoughtful use of negative space, a sense of the elevated beauty. So they cares about
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic beauty. So this so suddenly I understood that the pictures, the aesthetic feelings really leads to a lower conversion rates. And I recalled the time I had a meeting with my staff, and we had all the meetings, the weekly meetings, to look at all the data from Amazon to analyze the conversion rates, the click through rates, and the costs, the e-costs. And suddenly in NYU, in Manhattan's classroom, I found out that's the reason why the conversion rate is so low. However, I do feel that many Chinese sellers may not even realize this gap exists. So that's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I agree with your classmates. I can often tell that it's a Chinese listing because a lot of times the way things are worded, AI is helping this, but you just look at the words. It's almost like they call it Chinglish, like a mix of English, and it's not the proper way. And then if you look at the pictures, what they're emphasizing, sometimes in the pictures, or the way that the arrow is pointing at something that's a feature of the product, it just looks off, and that's exactly what you're saying. That's aesthetics. I agree that
Yeah.
that's two different things
Yeah.
from two different cultures. Yeah, I agree.
So for the culture wise, I have another example. I have a very positive example. This is also another project for my which class? Let me think about it. Or for my camping class.
Mm-hmm.
There is a brand. The name is So de Janeiro. Actually, it's this brand has advertisement in Manhattan subway. So in the subway, we saw the advertisements. This brand is so good. They are making use of the culture because it is famous for its fun and tropical energy. And the iconic brand's products is the Brazilian bonbon cream. So the list. So you can search if you have interest in these brands. And this brand is so good. They are making use of the Brazilian culture. They are using of the culture to cultivate the whole brand, and that they are doing so well. In the year of 2021, it was acquired by the L'Occitane Group. And let me check about the sales. In the year of 2023, they achieved 267 million. Oh, that's the growth rate. So for the year of 2024, their sales surpassed 2023 and achieved 686 million euro dollar. That's a huge, and that's really a legend, the case for branding, because the SKU is so little. They only have like less than 50 SKUs. However, they achieved such a big volume of sales. That's all because of its brand positioning and how they market, how they brand their products. And they're selling so damn expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can, it's available in Sephora, in all the Sephora across US. And it's so expensive and it's selling so well. And it's just a very good, very, like a magic case study in the whole skincare industry. So that's a good example of making use of the culture things to do marketing, to do branding. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So the first point is culture things. Learn more about American culture and to increase the aesthetic taste.
So how do you do that? How do you teach the Chinese? How are you going to teach your students? Now that you came to New York, and you'll be back for the next semester. But how do you, now that you're learning this, how do you teach them how to do this? So now you understand. You just explained to me what the difference is. How do they actually learn that? Do they watch movies? Do they use AI? Do they come visit America? Do you hire an American company to be like help you? How do you actually make that step to fix this problem that you just explained
Okay, very good
for
question.
the Chinese seller?
Kevin, you are really a good host. You have really good
Oh,
questions.
thank you, thank you.
So firstly, before I came to US, before I came to Manhattan, I already am aware of this issue. So I'm a private coach. I'm leading 9 big seller companies. I have meetings weekly with the leaders. So for some of the companies, I do repositioning for them. I
Okay.
we have conversations and I guide them how to do consumer insights, how to really match your products to some culture issues, to some culture points that really can help you to do marketing. Let me think about some example. Okay.
It's usually pain points and solutions are the two things you really want to focus on, are two of the big ones for getting American people to buy, and then that those are two of the biggest. There's others, but those are two big ones. But go ahead with how you're
Okay.
teaching it.
Yeah, actually, for positioning wise, I can't teach them. It's delivered by my private coach. So, for example, one of my classmates, they are selling stuff related with toys, with the fluffy toys. And I'm sure that you must know that the Labubu is so popular right now in US, right? Labubu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so 3 years ago, one of my students is selling those kind of toys. But of course, it's definitely different from Labubu. And she's so care about IP things, so we do different things. So I coached her to build a team, to build a research and design team. That team consists of 3 people, and I trained the 3 people how to do research in US market and to find out the sense the trends of the certain target audience. So firstly, we have a target audience. We don't do mass market. Secondly, we investigate and do research among those target audience. We know what they likes and what they cares, and we use that information to the product development. So she did so well. Her GMV doubled every year, even though in such a bad environment, the competition so fierce, but she still have the growth. She did it, and
So how did you do this? So what you just said is right, but did you use tools? Did you use some databases? Did you look at some magazines or watch some videos? How did you figure out how to know what you just told me to tell her what to do? What was the process? Was it? Yeah,
okay.
what was the I just so I can understand, like, how can we help, or like how can where's the opportunity here for the people listening, maybe from China that are listening to this, or maybe the people from America, they might learn something too. So because it could go, what you're doing, maybe it goes the other way. Maybe an American person wants to sell in China, so maybe some of your techniques they can use to learn how does the Chinese. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Can you be a little bit more specific? Just give me. You don't have to give me all your secrets, but just like one example of something like, okay, we took this brand with the girl with the plush toys that was very careful with her IP, and you said you doubled her GMV. All right, this is how we figured out who her ideal customer is. We did these 3 things. Can you give me an example of something like that?
Sure. Okay. I may start from very common tools that maybe every one of you can use, which is very useful. That is the Facebook data, because
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is the first social media that really track all the demographic and psychographic info of people.
Mm-hmm.
So the Zuckerberg also faced some lawsuits, right? Because he tracked all the information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So when you say that, does that mean, because Facebook, you can see the advertising, so you can see all the ads of someone that's advertising. Do you go and like find a similar product and like, oh, this is how they're doing all their advertising on Facebook. Oh, this one is running for 3 months. It must be good because they keep spending money. So let's put this one over here. This is maybe one of the ideas we should study. And here's another one. Is that kind of what you're saying? Kind of like that?
yeah. Kevin, you're so professional. Yeah, you know all the tactics. But my method is like we are more looking at the demographic and psychographic data, and we try to
Okay.
avoid the doing the same thing with other competitors. We try to find the white market and to contribute all our resources and focus on the market which has the better odds to win. And yeah, that's the first tool. Another tool is
So that means you're running ads on Facebook testing. You're running some ads to get some of that data to see the positioning. You could run ads. Try this one. Try this one. Try this one. Try this one. Maybe you get some of the customers to actually go to a landing page and give you some information, so you can get some of their data. And like, oh, look, they all drive this kind of car, and they all have 3 kids. Is it something similar to that?
yeah, correct. That's
Okay,
exactly.
that's good. That's smart. That's smart. That's very smart.
Yeah, but before that, the deeper root is like we have to know the culture and to know the life of American people. Just share with you something that I never think about it when I was in Shenzhen is I don't know that marijuana is legal and it's so popular in some states of in America.
Marijuana. Yeah.
Marijuana, yeah, I'm sorry.
Uh huh.
Yeah. And that's really a shock for me. When I first time I worked on the Manhattan street, I feel something.
You smelled something strange, and
Yeah, so I was,
you felt a little headache.
I felt, what was that? Yeah, that's my classmate and told me, it's,
That's
you
funny.
cannot imagine that when you are in China, right? It's yeah, you can yeah. Sometimes I was like joke with my classmates like if you do the thing in China, you will immediately be sentenced to jail.
Yeah, they'll take away your subway card. You lose some points.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, and there's some brands they're selling the things really so good. They catch the aesthetic taste of Gen Z, and they do the
Hmm.
rebranding, the design of the packages and design of the products. The marijuana is so cute and beautiful. I mean the products, but
Hmm.
I didn't do that. Okay, I swear I didn't do that. Just
You didn't.
observe.
I believe you. I believe you.
All right. So yeah, that's a good example of really know the life and culture of American people. That's kind of a special case, right, for the marijuana. But I can see that for just now the case I mentioned, the Sol de Janeiro, is another case like understanding the cultural issues because some of most because I don't have the data now, so I cannot quote you a percentage. But I can tell that the Brazilian culture is so popular. It's so popular in US. The fun and tropical energy issue, the tropical energy pattern, the vibes is so popular.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. The
Yeah,
the tropic energy.
tropical vibe of products
Oh,
and
oh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the island vibe, or the yeah. Is
yeah,
that what you mean?
yeah,
Yeah. So like, yeah, because that's a lot of Americans. That's their favorite vacation is go to somewhere that's a tropical. It's almost that's a paradise to them. That's like a dream to go and lay on the beach and go where it's very good weather all the time, and they can drink and have fun. And so yeah, that's a big appeal.
yeah. So back to the question asked me how to get the data. After I came to NYU, I find another good database is our library. As my professor
Hmm.
told me that NYU spent like $60 million in building our library. So I do have the
Yeah.
access to many valuable data, which is really
Hmm.
different from the markets. Because I went to the Adweek show in
Yeah. Uh huh. Uh huh.
last year, and there are
Uh
so
huh.
many AI tools available in the market. But after I compare the data, I can tell that they're so different. The data in the market are so simple and not really comprehensive and to the point. And I also have doubts on the accuracy of the data. But
Hmm.
for our library, I think it's all the university has their own database. I can tell that the data from experiments, research are more reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use NYU database to look at the also demographic, psychographic, and the consumer trends, all the things from
Yeah,
from
the problem you get, you made a good point. I want to just stop you just for a second because I want to make sure people understood what you just said. You said that the data, and I agree with you, that you $60 million library that has books and microfilms and special computers and showing all this research from maybe NYU or MIT or other scientists where there's actually proven stuff versus all these AI tools that you said you saw at the Adweek show are kind of cool, but you're like, I don't know if I can trust this. And I think that's an important point, is because the AI tools are picking up everything that's on the internet, and there's a lot of bad information that people think is the right information. Maybe someone taught a training course and they said, oh, you should always put, never use an arrow in your picture that goes to the right because that always makes the brain do this. You should always use the one that comes down. I'm just making something up here. That always comes down. And that's actually false. They just said that because their friend said that and somebody else said that. And maybe they heard it on some crazy radio show. And so then it becomes the truth. And then the AI picks that up and it says, okay, a lot of people are talking about this. It must be the truth. And so that's what it gives you versus the studies that you're seeing in the library are scientific studies of people that are studying this, that are very smart, and it's in environments that are controlled. And so the information is much more reliable and credible. I mean, there are some studies you have to be careful because who is paying for the study? Maybe they have an interest to make sure there's a certain result that comes from it because you can skew data. But that's a very important point I want to make sure everybody picked up on that you just said. That's very, very good. So I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure that was understood.
Exactly. Yeah, Kevin, you have
continue.
Good understanding of all the data issues. That's true. I remember there is a brand. I know the name is Resonate or something. Yeah, I do feel maybe he's the brand. This brand is the company that's really doing seriously with AI tools for sellers to do audience insights, to do research. However, yeah, so just as my professor told me, we have to be careful of the resource and the method how the data comes out. Yeah.
Yep.
So okay. So for cultural issues, and we can sum up here. Another topic is I want to talk about is the retail network. So do we have time to do that, or we can do another?
Sure. Yes, of course.
Okay.
No, of course. Let's do it.
Okay, so this is really a big issue for Chinese sellers because Chinese sellers are so reliant on Amazon. One company may have 10, 20 Amazon accounts. This is not a secret, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's not a secret. Some of them have 50 or 100 or more. Yeah.
okay, all right. So
Well, one is very clean, and then they play all the rules, and some of the other ones not so much. So yeah, no, I know that happens quite a bit with some of the sellers. But other sellers, they have, like you said, a lot of legitimate accounts too. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, so the lack of offline retail network is a critical weakness for many Chinese sellers. But in the US, roughly 70% of the product sellings happens in offline. So a
Yeah, it
successful
happens in
brand,
stores.
yeah. So all the successful brands, whatever brand I saw in Manhattan, were from because I went to California, Vegas, and Miami. I saw some brands. They are also available in retail chain shop. For example, leading CPG brands will enter Whole Foods for food products, and Sephora, Ulta for beauty products, and in Costco, their home products and furnitures. So most of the Chinese sellers, they lack the experience to navigate the offline retail, and they are also too consumed, too engaged, stacked with managing Amazon's constantly shifting policies and operational issues. So
Well, there
they
might
don't
be a
have
couple of
energy.
reasons. There might be a couple of reasons. Maybe you're going to talk about them here in a second. But that if you're not a brand, a true brand, back to your original point, it's very difficult to get retail in the U.S. And then
That's
also
true.
you said back to your other point that you said earlier, a lot of the Chinese sellers are very good at cutting the cost. Let's make it cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. Like you said, the couch that's $150 that falls apart versus the 500. The stores don't want that, and so they shy away from that quite a bit. And so those are two of the and it's harder to do gaming, like not gaming like you're going to play your Xbox, but to like a lot of the Chinese sellers, like you said it too. They like look at the numbers and look at the reports and how can I do this and how can I get this keyword and this. That's much more difficult to do in a retail environment. So there is data and there's things, but you can't. You lose some of the control, and so and it also takes more money because you get paid slower. It takes longer to get things in.
True.
So it's
That's
a whole nother business model. So that I just want to make sure those are some of the very obvious reasons. But go ahead, please continue. You've got some great insights. So what else is happening in the retail that makes it difficult for the Chinese?
Yeah, so I went to Whole Foods every 2 to 3 days to buy my grocery. So
Mm-hmm.
I do find out that so many brands are doing so well. In they are visible in the Whole Foods, and I sometimes I check their background. I find out it's only a 5-year company, and because they have followers, they have some social media buzz, and they have their clear brand positioning, and they're doing sort of good in sales and marketing. And finally, they got a chance to go into Whole Food. So do branding and to do a fair competition and really export opportunities in offline retail chain shop. That will lead to an easier life for Chinese sellers. So for the last part of this conversation, because just now Kevin also asked me what do I do. I think for Chinese sellers, I will continue my consultancy company to help them to really do branding in US markets. So I'm recruiting US local professionals to join my team. So if you are listening to Kevin's podcast and you are like digital marketer, content creator, whatever positions, right? You can contact with me and join my team because I filter good Chinese sellers. They are doing so well in selling, and there is an opportunity for them to move forward to the next step to do branding. And we will use all the local professionals to help the sellers. That's one thing. And for another thing is for American sellers, we may have some opportunities like I'm not sure whether Kevin will be interested. I think we can have some joint events like bring your uh, American sellers to really visit China and to get better sources to get the supply chain, and to have a conversation with Chinese sellers to learn from each other and to enforce a fair competition environment. I think that's the valuable things that we can look forward to. And for my contact information, if Kevin mentioned just now, I use Xiaoxiao Feng. Xiao Xiao Feng is my surname in LinkedIn. You can contact with me through LinkedIn or through Kevin. Or I really appreciate this opportunity to be here today, and I'm glad to have another or following conversation if Kevin interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely love to talk again. I think exactly what you said. The branding opportunity is huge. And just to illustrate a point of what you're saying, I do an event here in the U.S. called Market Masters. And at the very first Market Masters, I had a woman fly from Shenzhen. She owns an Amazon business in Shenzhen. She makes razors. I don't know if some people here in the U.S., maybe you haven't heard of it. It's called Manscaped. And it's a razor for men to trim their hair on their body, in their private parts, on their back, on their chest. And she has a product that she made that's similar, and she made it better. It's a really good product. She's got IP on it, but she is doing $70 million a year on Amazon, and she's having trouble with the branding. So she came to my Market Masters event. She flew from Shenzhen to the event, and she sat in the hot seat where we had all these experts like analyzing her business. It wasn't a presentations. It wasn't like a conference like you went to in Vegas. It was people analyzing her business and telling her. And when she sat down, she's like, I need to know how to do marketing and branding. I have no idea. And it turns out that she had hired a company in the United States to help her with this. And she was paying them like a crazy amount of money. Like even the other experts were like, why are you paying this company $50,000 to do this thing? She's like, well, I don't know who to talk to. I don't know what to do. And I'm desperate because I know this is a problem and I need to fix it. So she was getting taken advantage of. So I think there's some opportunity there for, and there's Chinese sellers that have the money and have the capacity and the desire to actually learn. But then you look at the problem is I'm fine with that because I'm an international person. But a lot of Americans who have not traveled very much, they're very much USA flag, USA, USA. You look at what Trump is doing with the tariffs, and a lot of people don't understand. He keeps saying back in, earlier this year when he was saying, well, we're going to bring all the jobs back to America. We're going to bring the manufacturing back to America. And I'm like, no, you're not. That's not going to happen. Maybe a couple cases here and there. I'm not going to say there's not some. Some might happen. But the vast majority, China's just too good at it. They're very, very good at that. But they're not as good at the marketing and the branding as we are. So if we could figure out how to work together, I think would be good. But some of the Americans are going to see that the good old, we call them here the good old boys. They're like the guys that are just all American. They drive a big pickup truck, and they got a gun in the back, and they're just all American culture. They're going to say that's sleeping with the enemy. Why are you going and helping our enemy do that? And I don't look at it. That way. But that's a cultural thing that we have to overcome. That might be a little bit of a challenge in some cases, but I think the opportunity to work together is stronger, and to help each other out, and especially if there's advantages to both sides. Like you said, there could be advantages to both sides where you guys can help us learn some things, and we can help you learn some things. And I think that's a better way to move forward.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Yeah, you have really good understanding of all the situations in terms of economic, markets, and even politics. Yeah, we try to avoid the topics of politics, but seems like it's inevitable. It happens. It's here. So yeah, so just sometimes we can wait for a while and just look forward to the bigger opportunities to work together.
So you're coming back to NYU to continue. Are you getting a master's in marketing? Is that what you're doing, or is it a special program a branding program, or
Yeah.
how long is it 2 years program, or how long is the program?
Yeah, it's a 2-year master program.
Okay.
So I will finish my study on next year, May. I already completed half of the classes. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you feel that this has helped you immensely, like a lot? This has really, really helped you a lot in understanding?
Yeah, it's definitely a milestone for my whole life of doing marketing and branding. And it seems like, how to say, really opens a new window for me. And I'm so, peaceful. I have a peaceful mind, and I know how to direct my company too, and I know how to coach my students. And it's helped me a lot.
So when you come back to Shenzhen, are all your friends, I know you're back there for the summer, are all your friends going, hey, we got to get together. You got to tell us all the secrets. What do we got to do? Come on, tell us. Are you seeing that happen? Or your students like, what's the secret now that you've been in America? You saw everything. Are you getting that kind of thing from them?
Yeah, my students are like asking me, Xiaoxiao, where are you? Xiaoxiao, teacher Xiao. They are calling me teacher Xiaoxiao. Yeah. Oh.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, teacher Xiaoxiao, I really appreciate you coming on the AMPM podcast. This has been fun. We'll have to, after you've gone through a little bit more on the branding in the next year of class, we'll have to bring you back and say, okay, now what is the secret? What do we got? What are you going? How are the Chinese going to now do branding and marketing much better? And I got all the answers. Because now I have a master's from NYU, so it's gonna be great. But I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on today.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you, and yeah, it's so fun and happy. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you. No matter your political stance or what your views are on democracy or communism or Trump versus China's president or anything like that, I think you can see that we're still common people at the base. The guys in the weeds down here are very, very similar. And I think we can benefit each other instead of arguing with each other and fighting. But it takes an understanding. And that's the problem, like I said in this episode, that a lot of Americans don't fully understand. If you've been to China, you've got a pretty good idea. You've been to the Canton Fair, you've been over there to visit your factories, or even as a tourist to some of the bigger cities, you have a better understanding, but that's a very small percentage. And it goes the other way. A lot of Chinese have come to they come to the United States to study primarily, but and a lot of them end up staying, but still not massive tourism. And so a better understanding of the two, I think we can benefit each other, where we can teach them a few things and they can teach us a few things. And I think that's going to be a more harmonious society and world for e-commerce sellers going forward. So I hope you got something out of this, and it gave you some different perspective and enlightened you a little bit on the differences between the U.S. Selling, which is basically very similar to Europe or Australia, and the Asian mindset and the problems that they're having. We'll be back again next week with another awesome episode of the MPM podcast. Might even be talking a little bit more sourcing and someone else that's got a ton of experience in China, and it's going to bring a whole different perspective to everything. So I hope you have a great week. Remember, this episode comes out every single Thursday, a new episode of the AMPM podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube or on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. And sign up to the $1 Billion Sellers newsletter, billiondollarsellers.com. It's totally free. It's in English, but you can translate it. Every Monday and Thursday, a brand new edition comes out that'll help you in your journey of selling in e-commerce. Take care, and we'll see you all again next week.